expensive, ghost town, collapsing city. These are phrases that are repeated over and over in the press, on news programs, and on social media whenever people talk about Las Vegas. With images of empty hotels, sparse casinos, and deserted streets, it's not hard to see that this city is truly entering its final chapter. But if Vegas is truly dying, then why are the CEOs of these giant hotel casino corporations still reporting hundreds of millions of dollars in profits, even with numerous empty rooms and silent gaming tables? How can a ghost town foster the extravagance of its leaders more than ever? The truth is, there's always a huge gap between what the public hears and what's actually happening inside Vegas. And what we're seeing is perhaps only a small part of the truth. Is everything we hear just the surface, while the real story of Vegas is being hidden? Are the rumors of a collapse just clickbait? Or is there a more complex and layered truth behind them? In today's video, we'll delve deep to expose the contradictions hidden behind the Vegas facade, to see if this city is truly in decline, or if it's simply changing in a way few could have predicted. Are you ready to uncover the truth behind it? Let's get started right now. An elderly family from California came to Vegas after seeing an ad for hotel rooms at just $99 a night, with a host of attractive amenities. However, upon reaching the checkout counter, the bill unexpectedly exceeded $300 after adding resort fees, parking fees, resort amenity fees, and undisclosed taxes. Feeling betrayed led them to cancel their trip, returning home with disappointment and frustration. This story is no exception. In the summer of 2025, many tourists experienced a similar situation. Today's Vegas, in their eyes, is nothing more than a place for legal pickpocketing, where even the most basic services, from opening a window to using the refrigerator in the room, are itemized on the bill. People even quip that it wouldn't be surprising if one day Vegas charged tourists for air filtration. On social media, complaints about Vegas are abundant. Is the parking fee $70 in the casino parking lot? Or a bottle of water that costs up to $26? Sorry, even Bill Gates wouldn't shell out that kind of money for plain water. The same water you can buy at Walmart for less than 50 cents. Critics point out that resort fees, parking fees, and exorbitant food prices not only deter tourists, but are also clear evidence that Vegas is going off course. And when tourists stop paying those unreasonable fees, smart businesses are forced to change. Hotels like Resorts World have started eliminating parking fees and resort fees altogether. A number of venues are also participating in the fabulous 5-day sale, the largest travel discount program in Vegas with discounts of up to 50%, and are offering all-inclusive combo packages to eliminate hidden fees. Not only that, Station casinos also launched cheap late-night breakfast and drink combos, while many other hotels designed all-inclusive packages that included meal vouchers and resort fees. These moves show that even businesses in Vegas are realizing they can't survive forever on hidden fees and need to find a balance between profit and genuine customer benefit. However, once trust is lost, can it be regained? For many tourists, the travel experience in Vegas is now associated with a feeling of being deceived, making them hesitant to return and once again become victims of unexpected bills. Looking back at history, the contrast becomes even more bitter. In the 1970s and 80s, Vegas attracted the masses with cheap buffets, budget hotels, and accessible services. Nowadays, the cheap base price with stacked-on fees style has become the dominant strategy. That reality forced the US Federal Trade Commission, FTC, to intervene. They introduced regulations prohibiting bait-and-switch tactics, initially advertising low prices, but ultimately adding extra fees. Businesses offering short-term lodging, such as hotels, short-term rentals, vacation rental services, or event ticket vendors must disclose all mandatory fees up front, rather than hiding them in the final bill. The REA message from the FTC is clear. People deserve to know what they're paying up front, without worrying that they'll later be hit with hidden fees they didn't anticipate and can't avoid. However, while the rules may be transparent, trust, once broken, is difficult to mend. This means Vegas may no longer be the dream destination for tourists as it once was. Is it worth sacrificing the travel experience for frustration and a feeling of being cheated, just for unreasonable hidden fees? If Vegas doesn't change soon, will the city retain its image as an entertainment paradise, or will it become just a symbol of disappointment? If you can't even trust a hotel bill, can tourists still believe Vegas is worth visiting? And how many people will choose to turn their backs forever, just because the feeling of being deceived once has been etched into their memory, becoming an indelible scar? But that's just the surface. Because even when there are few visitors, empty casinos aren't necessarily a sign of failure. Sometimes it's just Vegas's all-in trick. Don't be so quick to assume that empty casino floors mean Vegas is in crisis. Because what visitors see from the floor below is just the surface. Behind the discreet doors, machines worth millions of dollars still turn every night. In the summer of 2025, many people were surprised to enter the casino floors and see only a few scattered guests, with empty tables remaining throughout the afternoon during the week. However, they had no idea that the exclusive, hidden salons located upstairs were where the real game was played. There, a single shark could win or lose millions of dollars in a single visit, and no one below the floor would know what had just happened. These VIP rooms generate huge profits, thousands of times more than casual players with small bets. Casinos keep these areas private, both to protect privacy and to create a sense of exclusivity. Therefore, even when the lower hall is empty, there are still people upstairs betting $50,000 on a single hand. And with just a few high rollers, the month's revenue could already be enough for the casino to report a profit. This is also why many operators are willing to let public areas be empty, in exchange for focusing investment on retaining their most valuable customer group. This is the customer screening problem. Vegas is gradually reducing the number of small betting tables, prioritizing space for high rollers. The poker room might be empty, but the profit margins are much higher. While the media constantly reports on declining tourism and empty tables, another Las Vegas is still operating and thriving thanks to a customer group that makes up only 1% but spends a huge amount. However, this shift has raised many doubts. Can a city be sustainable if it only serves the upper class? High-end guests who come to Vegas are often seasonal. They spend a fortune in a few short nights, then leave and sometimes never return. Profits can explode in a cycle, reaching spectacular peaks, but as the heat cools down, that peak can easily plummet straight to the bottom. Unlike the middle class, who generate a steady and sustainable cash flow, the ultra-wealthy leave behind a bumpy and risky financial trail. This has significant social consequences. As public visitors dwindle, service staff have their hours cut, while the ancillary economy, from small eateries to budget services, also struggles and finds it difficult to sustain itself. The visual symbols became bitterly contrasting. Rows of slot machines lay silent and dormant under neon lights, while the financial TV screens displayed the words "earnings beat." The long-term risks are too obvious. A city overly reliant on the ultra-wealthy will find its revenue cycles easily hollowed out whenever the macroeconomic situation reverses. Vegas may still shine brightly in financial reports, but inside is a void that's hard to hide. If that emptiness is actually intentional, then who is being pushed out of the frame? And can a city truly be sustainable if it only serves the top 1%? To understand Vegas today, don't just look at the casinos. Look beyond the neon lights, where true life has begun to shift. For decades, casinos have been the beating heart of Las Vegas, where every dollar poured onto the gaming tables or into slot machines has sustained the entire city. But as summer 2025 approached, the truth became clear. Casinos were no longer Vegas's sole center of survival. Behind the still glowing neon lights The decisions of casino CEOs have made the model based entirely on gambling no longer suitable for the reality of a changed economy and a new generation of visitors. Instead of being crammed into smoke-filled casinos, the new generation of tourists seeks more open and diverse experiences. A study by the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority shows that over 50% of visitors to Vegas in 2024 do not consider gambling their primary goal, but prioritize dining, shopping, and artistic performances. This number shows a clear shift in demand, but many casinos still operate with an old mindset, focusing on high rollers rather than the general public. The gap between the strategies of the tech giants and customer desires is creating a dangerous rift. Meanwhile, other cities in the US have managed to reposition themselves. Miami attracts visitors with its beaches and Latin cultural blend. Nashville is becoming the new live music capital, and Austin stands out for its festivals and street food. Once considered an irreplaceable destination, Vegas now faces too many competitive options. And when these destinations offer a complete experience at a more affordable price, Vegas becomes a prime example of conservatism in governance. This change presents a bitter paradox. Casino CEOs are pushing the ultra-rich service model with VIP rooms and $1,000 betting tables, but they've neglected the mainstream customer base, the lifeblood that has sustained Vegas for decades. When the middle class turns away, auxiliary industries like small eateries, budget service shops, and cheap sightseeing tours also suffer. The image of rows of empty slot machines contrasting with the crowded food courts and show venues is a visual testament to this reversal. Of course, Vegas isn't short on opportunities for reinvention. Some major brands have recognized the issue and are shifting. Caesars Entertainment announced plans to expand its entertainment and esports division, while MGM Resorts partnered with technology corporations to create virtual reality experiences for guests. These steps hint at a future where Vegas is no longer solely associated with gambling, but truly becomes a global entertainment complex. It's also the only way for the city to maintain its position on the world tourism map. If casinos are no longer the center, can Vegas redefine itself before tourists turn away permanently? And when a city once built to serve all classes bets too heavily on a small, privileged group, who will truly pay the price? There are two Vegas existing in parallel right now. A dazzling Vegas, where VIP rooms and high-limit betting tables continue to welcome privileged guests who spend tens of thousands of dollars in a single hand. And another Vegas, quiet, full of tents on the sidewalks, where workers and ordinary tourists are slowly being pushed beyond the boundaries of light. That gap not only reflects the wealth disparity in American society, but is also a direct result of the strategic decisions made by casino CEOs, who chose to go all in on the 1% rather than nurture the majority. Entering the summer of 2025, visitors will easily notice this contrast. While the lower-level casinos are becoming increasingly deserted, the high-limit salon areas are quietly bustling with activity. A player can lose millions of dollars in just a few hours, and that loss is the very source of profit for the entire system. Therefore, casinos have reason to accept empty public betting tables, as just a few high rollers are enough to make up for an entire month's revenue. But this choice means that the mainstream customer base, once the lifeblood of Vegas, is gradually becoming an outsider. According to data from the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, spending on non-gaming entertainment exceeded 60% of total tourism spending in the city in 2024. This means that most visitors to Vegas no longer consider casinos the central experience. However, many corporations remain steadfast in pursuing their strategy of serving high-end customers, rather than investing heavily in mass entertainment. The result is a city that exists in two worlds: a discreet, hyper-profitable one, and a public one that is gradually losing its vitality. So, who's really winning this game? Clearly, the major players are still reporting profits, still reassuring the financial markets. The words "earnings beat" continuously appeared on the screen, as if to demonstrate sustainability. But behind those glamorous numbers, thousands of service workers had their hours cut. Small restaurants struggled to survive without middle-class customers, and an entire supporting economic ecosystem was left gasping for air. Vegas may win on financial reports, but it loses in the trust and experience of the majority of visitors. This opposition is not just an economic issue, but also touches on generational memory. Many Americans over 55 still remember a 1970s-80s Vegas where they could book cheap rooms, enjoy budget buffets, and try their luck with just a few coins. It's the Vegas of families, of young groups of friends looking for memories. Today, that Vegas has gradually disappeared, replaced by an unfamiliar model where down-to-earth experiences have been replaced by selective luxury. And for many, that means Vegas has lost a piece of its soul. Of course, not everything is pessimistic. Some major brands have begun to recognize this imbalance and are seeking to rectify it. MGM Resorts announced an expansion of its public entertainment offerings with music shows and sporting events, while Caesars Entertainment is testing combo packages that combine accommodation, dining, and performances at a transparent and more accessible price. This could be a sign that Vegas still has a chance to rebalance the two worlds that coexist in parallel, rather than letting them become increasingly separate. If only the Vegas of the 1% continues to exist, where will the remaining majority go? And can a city truly be sustainable if financial success is accompanied by a loss of public trust? Media has long been a mirror reflecting the image of Las Vegas. But that mirror isn't always honest. It often chooses the brightest or darkest scenes to recount. Sometimes Vegas is depicted as a ghost town, with empty casinos and dimming lights. At times, it's a sleepless paradise, where profits break records and financial news is buzzing. The reality lies somewhere in the middle, and it is the media's selective portrayal that has shaped how the public imagines the future of Vegas. In the summer of 2025 and summer of 2025, many international newspapers published images of empty casinos, creating the impression that Vegas was on the brink of collapse. But at the same time, a report from the Nevada Gaming Control Board stated that total statewide gaming revenue exceeded $0.4 billion in June 2025, marking the 29th consecutive month above the billion mark. These figures don't quite align with the declining image some media outlets portray. Here we see clearly, Vegas can simultaneously struggle in the eyes of the average tourist while thriving in corporate reports. This mechanism creates a media paradox. News about empty casinos is easily spread because it has strong visual imagery and evokes emotions. Meanwhile, reports of revenue growth are difficult to impress the general public. The media, therefore, often leans toward dramatic images, making viewers believe that Vegas is dead, while the truth is much more complex. A specific example comes from the small businesses along Las Vegas Boulevard. Many coffee shop and souvenir shop owners admit that revenue has decreased because fewer ordinary customers are visiting, while the high roller group is not very interested in budget services. The media rarely tells these stories because they're not glamorous enough, but they're the undercurrent that reflects the long-term erosion of Vegas. A city cannot be healthy just because of a few earnings beat headlines, while forgetting the small shops that make up its everyday identity. The danger here lies in the fact that when the future is defined too much through the lens of media and financial reports, real life itself, the beliefs of tourists, the experiences of the community, is pushed aside. And as the gap between these two layers of reality widens, the image of Vegas is still Vegas will become a convenient lie, masking the imbalance. Of course, there's still a chance for Vegas to rewrite its own story. Some major brands have begun to repurpose media in a different direction. Caesars Entertainment launched a price transparency campaign, emphasizing no hidden fees, combining show promotions and experience combo packages to regain trust. These moves show that if Vegas knows how to use media as a tool for repositioning, it can still balance corporate interests and public expectations. But the question remains open. Can a city truly exist sustainably if its future is only reconstructed through selective frames? And are we believing in layered truths, or are we only stopping at what the media wants us to see? Because in the end, Vegas is nothing more than a magic show. The audience could only see the stage curtain, where the neon lights still shone brightly and the numbers on the report remained green. But the truth, the price to pay, the deserted streets, the fading memories, is unfolding behind the scenes, where the light never reaches. There's a bitter truth that everyone sees. Vegas is still shining brightly, but its soul is slowly fading. Once known as a place where anyone could find joy, from cheap buffets to dramatic card games, the city has become a distant land where experiences are obscured by hidden fees, VIP rooms, and reported profits. But if Vegas wants to survive long-term, it's essential not just to change the numbers, but to rediscover the soul that once made it special. The soul of Vegas used to lie in its openness. A city that welcomes those who want to try their luck with just a few dollars, then step outside to enjoy the show, the food, or simply stroll under the neon lights. But as the strategy focused increasingly on the high roller group, Vegas lost its connection with the masses. The price to pay is not only a decline in revenue from mainstream tourists, but also a rift in generational memory. Those who once believed that Vegas is for everyone. Finding your soul again isn't about turning back time, but about restoring a sense of belonging and community. Cities like Nashville and Miami are proving that today's travelers don't just want to spend money, they want experiences that are connected to culture, music, food, and authenticity. Vegas, if it only sells glitz to the top 1%, will lose its competitive edge in the race for the hearts of the majority. Some major brands have realized this. Caesars Entertainment has launched its No Hidden Fees campaign, making room and service prices transparent, while also investing heavily in shows and sporting events to reconnect with mass tourists. MGM Resorts is launching a combo package combining accommodation, dining, and entertainment with a focus on transparency and accessibility. This isn't just a tactical change, but an effort for Vegas to rediscover the values that once made it different. A place where everyone has a place. Because ultimately, a city doesn't live just on numbers, but on the memories and feelings of those who have set foot there. Vegas may break revenue records, but if it's no longer in the hearts of the majority, that aura is just an illusion. Can a city truly exist if it only lives in financial reports and is lost to collective memory? And as the neon lights fade, will Vegas choose to maintain its glamorous facade? Or will it bravely rediscover its soul? Vegas still shines brightly in financial reports, but in the memories and experiences of many ordinary Americans, that light has faded. When a city chooses to bet on short-term profits over long-term trust, is what's left just a borrowed halo constructed through media frames? If a city is still alive on paper but dead in the hearts of the majority, is it truly alive? And as the story of Vegas today is told by news reports and articles, rather than by those who once loved it, are we seeing the truth? Or just an illusion? If you find this topic thought-provoking, please share the video to help expand the conversation. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your comments below, because your perspective will help paint a clearer picture of Vegas. The content in this video article is for informational and analytical purposes only, drawing from various sources. All data and citations mentioned are based on public reports, media information, or independent surveys. They should not be understood as absolute conclusions, nor do they represent the official views of any organization or business. Viewers are encouraged to consult additional reliable sources for a more comprehensive understanding. All statements in the video/article are only meant to be suggestive, provoke reflection, and stimulate community discussion, not as definitive assertions or action guidelines.